Hello. Can you hear me?
Hi.
I think you can. All right, just making sure. This is live at the moment. Hello, welcome to t.w.i.c. I'm Cody. I'll be one of your co-hosts today.
Oh, and that would make me LeNora Faye, and I will be the other co-host for today.
So t.w.i.c stands for This Week in Child Free, and we basically talk about any recent articles, events happening in and around the child free community. If you'd like to submit something for us to look at in the future, feel free to send us an email at childfreemedia@gmail.com and just put t.w.i.c t.w.i.c in the subject line so we know why you're sending us that email. So
And even if you forget to do that, still just send us the email anyway.
do it anyway. Yeah. So before we start, quick shout out to StreamYard for giving us this cool streaming platform to play with. And so with that said, we'll just.
We have another sponsor for this
Oh,
episode too. Childfree Wealth.
oh, cool. Yeah. Thank you, Childfree Wealth. Childfree Wealth, financial planning that supports your life without kids. For more information, please visit childfreewealth.com. There we go. All right. So with that being said, this is live. If you're watching us live, feel free to join in, ask comments, questions, whatever it is. And if this is in the future, make comments and questions anyway, and we'll try to get back with you on that. So
That's so mad. We value your input, even if you're not joining us
right.
live for this
In the
event.
future. So normally these are like all blind topics to LeNora and even me. Like I just kind of see the headline and I'm like, okay, we'll talk about this. It seems interesting, whatever. But I don't really read it. But with what happened this week with Elon Musk, LeNora is definitely going to know what the first topic is going to be.
I mean, who is this dude? I don't know if I've heard of him before.
So for those who don't know or haven't heard, this is from Yahoo News.
Lucky you, by the way.
Via the Independent. I guess Yahoo just scraped this story and took it for themselves, but whatever. So the headline is Elon Musk supports eliminating voting rights for people without children.
Wow.
And when I first heard this, I was interested in the fact of, is he just like blank slating anyone who doesn't have a child, or is he going to try to go after like basically the child free community? So we'll find out.
Because I mean, I will defend us who've chosen not to have children, but first of all, you cannot. Sorry, I got distracted by a goofball comment in the comment section. My mistake of reading that while commenting. That's just mean and all sorts of wrong to just lump all people without children together. Elon Musk. Anyway, continue.
Well, the good news is you're in Canada, so I think you're going to be safe from his voting powers.
You would be surprised though how you Americans influence us Canadians from time to time.
It happens.
But anyway.
This is by Josh Marcus. And so I'll just kind of read here. So over the weekend, Elon Musk appeared in a Twitter post to endorse the idea of taking away the right to vote away from people without children. The billionaire Tesla co-founder replied, yup, in quotations, to a series of posts from a Twitter at I don't even know what that is. FENTASYL.
They don't need whatever. Any kind of promotion.
And they basically argued that democracy is probably unworkable long term without limiting suffrage to parents. So a lot of big $3 words there. Basically, what Elon basically says we shouldn't have the right to vote if you don't have kids, or people in general shouldn't have the right to vote. The exchange came as Mr. Musk continued his recent run of interacting with right-wing figures on social media. The posts from this individual or Twitter account themselves were in response to a previous post from Mr. Musk. On Saturday, in the comments under an Islamophobic nonprofit's video, interesting, where commenters insinuated that the single white woman were turning France into a majority Muslim country.
What?
And Mr. Musk claimed, and this is in quotations, the childless have little stake in the future, end quotes. So that's interesting how he makes the stretch from them talking about single white women in France to all childless people have no stake in the future.
I have to wrap my I wish Yahoo would have actually like posted this stuff. It's hard to grasp what's happening here just by the words they're using instead of showing us the images. But okay, so there were comments under an Islamophobic nonprofit video. Okay, that in itself, I'm like, do I understand what that is? Single white women. So they're saying single white women need to procreate more so that France does not turn into a majority Muslim country. Got it. Okay, that makes. How is there an Islamophobic nonprofit? I mean, I want to look into that. Like, that's all.
Yeah.
Like, how do they? I've never heard them being a nonprofit before. I mean, someone that's got problems with certain groups being a nonprofit. I mean, obviously that's possible, but okay. So the only reason why they so basically they want more white women having children to prevent other nationalities from taking over the population. I mean, that's how I read this.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking a pretty big leap too, thinking that single white women can't be members of Islam. But okay,
so it's true. True.
So anyway,
wow. Okay.
It goes on. These opinions are hardly surprising for Mr. Musk, who has long, they keep calling him Mr. Musk, has long expressed concerns about the declining birth rates in the U.S. and the lack of, quote, smart people having enough children, views which critics have argued are verging on eugenics. Basically. Yeah. Here we go. Okay. It goes on. So Musk, who's fathered 9 children, he actually had 10 kids, but one of them died young. So he's got 9 kids himself. So clearly he considers himself a smart person.
Right.
I mean,
I have to dissect this one paragraph at a time. The lack of smart people having enough children, views which could. Okay, so no, because I'm just trying to think. The eugenics comment. I mean, we've kind of touched base on that before. That's totally eugenics, but his views totally are.
Well, that's why they're saying it on the verging on it, that they're not.
I don't even think it's verging though, because if honestly, that's pretty direct.
I mean, well, in smart people, it's like, what does that even mean? Like IQ. I mean, if you look at
exactly
like whatever IQ scores, there's an average. So technically anything under the average, does he consider that smart? Like 49% of the people, are they not smart?
But there's also book smart and you have life smart. That's and true. Those people who are book smart aren't necessarily life smart, and vice versa. Like there's a lot of nuance to this. Okay, next paragraph.
All right. So
the article we tackle, because I've got a lot to think about on this one. Okay.
So earlier this year, he elaborated, telling former Fox News anchor Tucker Carlson that society hasn't, quote, evolved to respond to abortions and contraceptions, which the billionaire incorrectly claimed were invented in the last 50 years.
How smart is he again?
I mean,
okay.
All right.
All right. What does he say?
So he said, these are in quotations, "I'm sort of worried that, hey, civilization, if we don't make enough people to at least sustain our numbers, perhaps increase a little bit, then civilization's going to crumble. The old question of, will civilization end with a bang or a whimper?"
So you're going to create you want to create more problems to fix the other problems. Like, it's just, I don't get why people don't see that. And I'm not an antinatalist, not knocking procreation. But
well, I guess what he's saying,
you're just applying more people to fix the other people's problems who created the problems in the first place. All this stuff. It's just it.
Well, a lot of times what people will say is like, if you have more kids, then you have more opportunity for people that will have better ideas in the future. But it's like,
yeah,
well,
but that's time to have the ideas when you just have to keep having kids. I mean, it's only a certain part of the population that will have the opportunities, because let's be real. I mean, he's really going after one particular demographic. If he looks at other countries that have massive populations who are also still promoting an increase, but do not have the kind of levels of living that we do, it's just,
yeah,
I can't solve this issue. So I just,
yeah. So it says, it is a little fact that says that the world population has doubled in the last 50 years. So even with all the, like,
only in 50 years,
Well, yeah, to more than 8 billion, according to the UN, through the birth rate. Though the birth rate has slowed in some places. So those two statements, like right there, him saying about contraceptions and abortion over the last 50 years is like negatively affecting it.
Why did he even
bring the population?
Why did he bring it up?
So,
Yeah.
Let's see. Observer argued that such so-called natalist views are often entangled with eugenicists. Am I saying this right?
Yeah, you're saying it. Yeah, right.
Ideas about intentionally manipulating future births to privilege and center certain groups of people.
Of course.
Let's see. So he lamented that smart people aren't having enough kids. You've already said that in this article. If even successive generation of smart people has fewer kids, that's probably bad.
But he's assuming that smart people are going to have smart kids.
Yeah.
Is there an example of a really intelligent person who had a child that was less than?
Tell me everything you know about Albert Einstein's children.
Haven't a freaking clue.
There you go. Hey.
Same with Shakespeare. I think all of Shakespeare's
relatives
died early. Like,
I mean,
no, I'm going to Google. Okay, you keep talking. I'm going to.
All right, go for it. I mean, that's the thing is that there's no guarantee that.
But again, Albert Einstein was book smart, but was he life smart? Because again, what is smart? I mean, there's a lot of different ways. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to Google his kids. See, this actually goes to the conversation totally different about legacy. If he had 2 children, nobody knows who his children are, who cares, who remembers it. So what legacy? If legacy is the most important thing, I'm sorry, Albert Einstein is not remembered for being a father, as far as I know. Okay,
no, but I know that he is or was.
Oh no, he had 3 kids.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. One, they don't do all the last names. Okay.
All right.
I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm just gonna read about Albert Einstein's kids and you keep talking and call me when you need a comment.
That's okay. So we're gonna try to scrape through a lot of these stories.
So okay, what else did you have? Back to Elon Musk. That article. What
as far as Elon goes, I mean, again, he doesn't really address if he's targeting us, which I would assume he is. Going after basically people who are choosing to not have kids, not someone who just turned 18 has the right to vote and doesn't have a kid yet. He didn't really
say a lot about the demographic of people without
kids. He didn't.
He said we have no stake in the future. Like, does that's one of the annoying things is when they just say a statement like that without bothering following through, and then what happens is that just gets picked up. It's just really easy to say, oh, you don't care, because the majority of commenters online just assume that people without kids don't care about the future.
Which is not true for a lot of reasons. That's why some child-free people don't have kids, is because they are concerned about the future, and they're essentially going to sacrifice themselves having a legacy and kids, so that there are more resources in the future for other people's kids. So as far as Musk goes, Elon goes, it's a pretty bold stance to take, since he sells goods and has, a stock,
Well, he needs consumers. So he needs consumers.
Well, he needs consumers, but like, if
smart
the numbers,
apparently.
If the numbers are what they are, let's say conservatively that over the next 20 years, that 20% of the U.S. population will be child-free, where they won't have kids ever. Okay. So is he willing to give up 20% of his potential buyers to buy his smart homes, his cars, his stock? In a way, it's almost like he's putting himself on the chopping block, and anything he's associated with for child-free people to say, yeah, we're not going to support that, because he clearly doesn't want to support us.
Right. Well, and the whole voting thing, I mean, there's really not a lot said about that any further than just a couple sentences, but okay. Yeah. Oh, maybe he's worried because people without kids are going to choose or vote to elect people who are in support of abortion and birth control. I'm assuming.
I think that's probably the shortest answer, but I mean, again, for someone who's so smart, he said something pretty stupid. So
agreed.
We'll just leave it at that. If you're driving a Tesla as a child-free person, yeah. There you go.
Actually, oh no, I don't think that was a Tesla, so I can't tell that story. Never mind.
All right. I've got a number of stories that are Dink, D-I-N-K, Dink related.
So I can go back to reading Albert Einstein.
Yeah, you can look up Albert. Okay. I'm going to kind of go through these guys. I think there might be like some cross mingling of the concepts here. So this is also from yahoo.com. It says, where does the term Dink in quotations come from, and why is it suddenly all over TikTok? Just before I even get into this, I think Dink is also a term in pickleball, which is a sport that's gotten really popular over the last few years. And so if they're like hashtagging Dink for like pickleball, that's also being picked up.
Can I completely change the subject for a second? Yeah. One of Albert Einstein's kids told Albert that he hated him, and after Albert's emigration to the US, they never saw each other again. That was
Edward. Gosh.
Okay, that was the second son. Anyway, continue.
All right. This is by Caitlin Stanford. So the term DINK, which stands for double income, no kids, I think it stands for dual income, no kids, but whatever, has actually been around for decades. But a whole new generation of adults seems to be discovering it now on TikTok, where it's become something of a trendy topic lately. Again, not having kids isn't trendy. It's not a movement. It's not a fad. Like some people just literally don't want to have kids. Like I
think it's because it's currently trendy to talk about, but it's not. It's still not trendy to talk about, honestly.
The term reportedly dates back to the late 80s when the Los Angeles Times published a piece about the millions of baby boom couples who work for wages and so far don't have children, referring to them as DINKs, D-I-N-K-S, small s. So today the term has started to bubble up again. It's not today. It's been doing for whatever. It's never gone away, actually.
No.
The term has started to bubble up again now that couples on TikTok are sharing clips of their seemingly blissful, child-free with a hyphen lives.
Seemingly. This article already has a lot of condescension feeling to it.
Which includes a lot of downtime, a comfortable amount of cash in the bank, and spontaneous trips and date nights. So with this, and whenever we talk about DINK, sync, whatever, I always put an asterisk in there because the term DINK, dual income, no kids, whatever, isn't inherently child free. It just isn't. We can't.
Just means currently without children.
Yeah, the child free community, we do want to claim it because it says no kids, but it could just be people starting out and they have two incomes and no kids yet. So I guess it could be dinky, no kids yet. We can make them start saying that. But anyway,
we can't even get them to agree on the term child-free.
So with that, I will actually agree that the hyphenated child-free does make more sense when talking about DINK because they might have kids. Like they're child-free.
They might have kids eventually. I mean,
yeah. Actually, it should be childless. But I don't want to step on childless.
You know what would be better, honestly, because I catch my dad's trying to wrap his head around all the terms and stuff. There's child free. So child free, like not having kids ever, childless, wanted children, can't have children, or they do want children, or they're trying to have a child. And then there's kid free. So currently without children, but gonna have them in the future, which is like, because to me, I think because we've gotten to know the childless community so much, and the childless community online specifically is really focused on the aspect of trying to have a child, or they generally realize they cannot have a child, so they're going through that. And to lump people who are currently without children, it's like down the road, to me, childless is it's kind of establishing itself as a we have tried, or we are trying, and so far we're dealing with all of the emotions of not being able to have children. But kid free is like, we don't have kids right now. In a perfect world, that's how I'd like to see it all being broken down into 3 different categories.
I can see that, and that's why we have the Child Free Childless Alliance topic with the Child Free Convention this year at a 2023 on there. Yeah, I don't have the shirt yet. It's in order. But that's why we're talking about that. Yeah, if we can kind of get on the same page with the childless community, and we all kind of start saying the same thing over and over again, eventually it will click. Especially because really the media listens to the childless community more than it listens to us. Like we just kind of like this is they're seemingly blissful. Like they just kind of dismiss us or don't take it seriously.
Because when they say that about parents, they are seemingly happy with their 27 children.
Yeah. Good question.
Right?
Good point.
Okay.
So we get back into this. So it says some of the videos appear to be made in defense of their decision to remain childless, which should be actually child-free. One word, since well-meaning friends and family often ask nosy questions about the baby-making plans of couples in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. See, let me just scroll through.
I can't wait to be 55 and
free.
people think I'm like 40 and go, when are you having kids? I'm like, I'm 56.
Others highlight some of the reasons why they're happy to remain kid-free with a hyphen, at least for now. So that's exactly what we just spoke about.
They're confused. They've confused people
They're
by using 3 different
in one story. Thanks, Yahoo. So,
okay.
One step at a time. That's why we're here. So you've got some
when was this one written? They're all the same.
April 26th.
Okay.
2023. Right. That's why I'm trying to just off all these because I think they're all a little much the same. So while some do in fact come across as a bit, in quotations, braggy, they all strive to send one single message, and that is you don't need to have a child or multiple children for that matter to lead a happy, fulfilled life.
But again, braggy, it can be said about people who are blissfully happy with their children. It's just, okay, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that's one thing that, I mean, a child-free person could say that's what's told to them by a parent, is that they're bragging of how happy how happy they are and fulfilled in their life, and that the child-free person will never know happiness or be fulfilled in their life. I mean, if that ain't bragging.
I'm gonna walk back my judgmental expression here. I think maybe like there is merit to coming off as a little bit braggy just to kind of make the point, and again, it's nice to gather and share the fun things we enjoy in life. It's nice to have that. It's also a challenge when you're doing it publicly because, you get these kind of offhanded remarks like, oh, you're bragging about this, that, and the other thing. But it does serve a purpose because it gets attention and at least people are writing about it. And it's not always ideal just because that's not every child-free person's experience. But
yeah,
but also in something that we can actually benefit, like the child-free community can benefit from, is it proves how this lifestyle is perceived. And I think that's why I post like the mean comments that I get and I turn it into marketing material, because it shows people like this is why we do need to talk about being child-free, but our lifestyle choice, what we experience, because people just look at that and they label us as bragging or insecure or all these things without even like this is people's knee-jerk reactions. And I think it's good to highlight that. So even this article is so not ideal. It does serve a purpose as look at what's being used. Look at the words being used in this article, like braggy and seemingly and all like the way it's presented. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so, and the whole braggy part, like in my opinion, that's people like, that's basically the lashing back isn't the right term, but that's kind of what I'm getting at is they're beat down like for their whole life and told like, that they're doing the wrong thing. They're not going to be happy, whatever. And eventually let's get to a breaking point and they say, look, I am happy. Look how happy I am. Look at all these awesome things that are going on in my life. And it will come across as braggy because that's the other end of the pendulum. Like it swings right. Like, they're pushed this far. Well, it's going to swing back the other way and it's going to seem that way.
Our hand is being forced then is what you're saying. We have to come out because
like to the people who are very, unoriginal in the comments that they give you and troll you. It's like, it's like, why does this have to be someone's personality trait? Well, it doesn't have to be a personality trait, but like you're forcing people to not you, but people are forcing others in the child-free community to come out and be on the farther end of, I don't know, the vocal. And adamant about the child-free lifestyle and that they are happy. And I mean, it's like, I don't have to prove to anybody. It's like, I love my life. Like that's all I can say.
And usually there's somebody within the child-free space or who is child-free that comments underneath comments like that and says, we need to see this content because how else would I find other Childfree people? Like it's kind of a beacon, if you will. So
yeah,
it is.
That's part of this whole like the whole whatever hashtag dink on TikTok or whatever. It's that technology is finally catching up with what's already been in society. Like it's been there for a long time, but we finally have the means to find each other. Again, unless you're walking around with a T-shirt on that says you're child free, it's very hard to find people that have that mindset, because that's really what it is. It's a certain mindset to be child free.
Totally.
Let's see. I'm just gonna scroll through this. I think they're all going to be the same for what I'm about to read.
Is this still?
Oh, here we go. Here's some comments. So some comments on some of these TikToks. Here's one. Good luck dying alone at 60 and 70 with no grandkids to take care of you. I mean, if you die alone, who cares if you had no grandkids to take care of you? You're dead.
Also, how old are these grandkids? Because you would have had to have, like, do the math on this one. Are your grandkids 30 when you're 60? Like, grandkids, think about it. Even if you're 70 years old, who has the means to take care of you? If you have a I guess
the grandkid
you
might
could
be
have
like
a grandkid.
Might be like 18 or whatever, depending on when they had the kids.
You could have a grandkid who is 40 and has the means to take care of you. That means that because then it means you had a kid at 20 and they had a kid at 20. So does that matter?
I think in the audience,
does that math add up?
I think it's more emotional support than financial support, which
still.
I
mean, look, I did use my 11-year-old nephew to be my butler for a week when I broke my ankle 2 years ago. And I mean, really, I would text him in the morning. I'm like, can you bring me this? Because I live in a 3-story townhouse. So he would go downstairs and bring me something. And then I would just text him. And I still had to go down to the kitchen and make him lunch because he couldn't make his own lunch. So, I mean, it's.
Pull that comment back up if you could. Rebecca is hanging out in the background, being an awesome director. So Casey says, if your kids ain't taking care of you, your grandkids sure aren't either. That's a good point. So why did this person just skip their kids and go right to the grandkids taking care of them?
Because grandkids don't have school or lives or whatever. I mean, even if for emotional support, like I've started to just for the summer, because you can't really catch baseball in the snow here in Canada, or at least I wouldn't. But once a week I've been meeting up with my dad and we've been just chatting for like an hour and a half, whatever. But we live in the same city. He's retired, but I'm not taking care of him or anything. But I can fit that into the schedule. But that's just currently this month, right? It's all these assumptions, and that tells you like that's how they're operating life. Plus, everybody says that comment like. Come up with something more original. I know. But
I mean,
anyway,
adulting's hard, people. Like it just is. Let's see. All right, let me just go to a new article because I'm sure it's going to basically cover the same thing. So this is from dailymail.co.uk. The rise of the Dinks, dual income, no kids. The heading follows. Meet the young couples shunning babies so they can afford shunning baby. You're right. So they can afford luxury vacations to Bora Bora, impromptu date nights, and splurges at Costco.
Come on, people. The real reason why couples don't want to have kids is they want to participate in the happily married and happily solo panel at the 2023 virtual Childfree convention. That's why people actually don't want to have children. Sorry, continue.
The luxury vacations to Bora Bora and splurges at Costco. I don't think those two things really match up.
If you so what's a splurge at Costco? I'm sorry.
This is by Helena Kelly, consumer reporter for the dailymail.com. So let's see the consumer reporting that happens here. It says working couples who haven't had children are dividing TikTok by bragging about their infant-free lifestyles, which includes splurging money on Costco shops, date nights, and luxury vacations. The term DINK, which means dual income, no kids, has gone viral on the video sharing app as more and more couples opt out of having babies. So again, they're lumping in the child free with people who just happen to be, as you're saying, like kid free, and maybe they're
at the moment. So I really want to see these 1,000 comments that they got going on. Okay.
Let's see. The expression goes back to 1987, blah, 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 LA Times.
Okay.
But it's been repopularized by online influencers amidst red hot inflation, high childcare costs, and broader economic uncertainty.
Bora Bora is going up in price too, by the way. So
so let's see. Newlywed Kate Anderton asked her 105,000 TikTok followers, why is nobody talking about being dinks? And I guess we won't know why. Oh, here we go. Let's see. So the quote continues, well, I'm freshly married and I'm going to talk about it. Here's a day in the life of a dink in our early 30s. So she proceeds to show a video of herself and her husband, Brian, shopping at wholesale at Costco, where they spend $250. In other clips, the couple from Minnesota share glimpses into their date nights, which include spending the evening in a hot tub and 3-course meals out of the home. Anderson works as a wedding content creator, reveals that she earns more than her husband, adding in one comment, he refers to her as a sugar mama, whatever. Let's get to stay on topic here. Together, they are attempting to save $60,000 in their joint account as part of their plans to remodel a fixer-upper property they bought several years ago. But the couple who say they're undecided.
See that?
Undecided. So does that negate this whole thing? About whether to have kids have also been forced to defend themselves after being heavily trolled online for their lifestyle. That's the thing. Like the people who are against the dinkers are going to come out and roll on them. And as soon as they say they're undecided about having kids, then some of the child-free people will also roll over on them.
I mean, look, we had a fence sitter panel last year at the convention. We have a fence sitter panel again this year. It is, I mean, we kind of promote we really do promote the child-free term as those who have decided not to have children and so this just honestly adds the confusion of what it actually means. Well, I don't know if we'll come to a conclusion or a decisive
and that's the thing, that's where people try to say that dink is definitely child-free, and then some people say that no, it's a menagerie of people, like it's right. So it could be anything.
Well, and this is again, and anyone considering doing like a dink podcast or a dink group or a dink blog, you have to decide what does that mean and be very clear, because you are going to get these people who are maybe undecided or they are thinking about having kids in the future. That changes the conversation that you're going to have.
Well, it does. And well, that brings up a great question. Do the content creators have a responsibility to, if they realize that their followers are more of the child-free nature, should they basically divulge early on that they're undecided about having kids, or that they may be planning on having kids in like 5 or 10 years or whatever it's going to be? Well, does it matter? Should they?
Well, okay, if it's the content creator writing a blog or something, no. But if someone is creating a community or a space where multiple people are going to gather, hang out, do events or whatever, then I don't think that, well, it's hard to say they need to, but they need to decide what kind of people they're going to cater to, because they themselves maybe keep quiet about it. But if they're going to be getting people who are definitely not having kids, and then they're also going to have other people who are maybe on the fence, that's potentially going to create some kind of chaos at some point with it. If you're talking about doing some sort of community thing, if you're, as a content creator, just you're like, I have parents who who follow my child-free Instagram. Like, we have parents in convention and whatnot. Like, that's one thing, but I come from a very clear standpoint. If someone's going to just create content and leave it up to whoever wants to follow, that's I don't think they have to state, unless they're really doing. At the same time, though, there will be backlash if they go, oh, so we've decided to have children, and they've never said anything. It's up to them. But if you're creating a community with other people, that you need to have more clarity on, in my opinion, because you're going to have different groups, interacting with each other. And if one person all of a sudden starts saying, yes, when we have kids, when we're ready 15 years from now, there are going to be people jumping all over you going, this is not a group for people who want to have children. Like, we see where that's going, right? Anyway.
Well, and we see this in the child-free groups on Facebook, where someone asked for is there a new podcast of like whatever genre, makeup or something. And it's because the person I did watch, they didn't want kids. Well, now all of a sudden they do want kids, and they're pregnant, and it's like they then don't want to follow them anymore because they know their content might change. I mean, that's a big leap.
It usually will
might change, but that's why I kind of brought up the question. It's like, should the content creator be more forthright with their true intentions and feelings, or at least as it progresses, because, you know, they might have, you know, a few 100,000 followers and they've got sponsorships, and then they might lose half of them, like, or more. Like,
the thing is especially if someone's unsure, that's a bit hard to, like, I agree with the progression aspect if they have really been targeting the demographic of people who don't want to have children. Yes. If they're just making content and they're not really concerned about who's following them, and they maybe bring it up in conversation on occasion, but they're not specifically targeting the child-free community, then no, because you don't know. Like, there's a lady, some of you guys in the audience will probably know who she is. She does a lot of graphic cartoons and stuff. And she came to my attention. I think maybe you told me about her, was when she was really, like, seemingly child-free, but then all of a sudden she did a post saying she was now 30 and thinking about something else, like maybe not so hardcore child-free. She was considering the alternative. I heard from several people about that, because it was like, wait a second, you know, it wasn't so strictly child-free content, but it was part of the conversation. And then mindset shifted. Okay, but there was some definite disappointment, right? So I think it as a content creator, like, if I suddenly went, you know what, I would have to say something. Like, I'm starting to rethink my child-free decision. By the way, if someone just joined this, don't take that out of context. But you know, like, if I started to rethink my stance, then I mean, good Lord, I would really have to say something, because how unfair would that be? You know, if I just out of the blue one day said, by the way, guys, I've decided I'm going to have kids. Without ever saying, like, this was on, and that's hard, because I purposely have done things on this particular conversation as a child by choice person. So.
Yeah. Lainey Molnar is the yes. artist. She had done a lot of stuff that was very pro-woman choice, child-free centric type of stuff. And then she put out a comic that I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it had something to do with, like, arrows, like how you can change over time. You can always go back.
Yes.
But you can't. But one of her arrows, it's like
if you're a mother, you can't go back. Like, I remember that one. Like,
I'm like, so
once you're a mother, you can't revert back to.
And it didn't make sense. To me, it didn't make sense with the line of images she was putting, because it was the only one that was like, it did not fit the others.
But I think that was the point, though, is like, you can change your mind back and forth, but once you have a kid, you can't change your mind anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you can, but you can't really. Like, you're there unless you.
Let's see if I can find it.
That's actually another conversation, but it's not necessarily appropriate for this particular setting.
Here, let's pull this over here. So 31. So an established and complete woman. This is an image, and it's got a woman and a man and a baby on the left. And then it says also an established and complete woman. It's got a woman chilling with her wine and her pizza, just hanging out. And it's like, yes, like, and I don't know. I think that might have rubbed some people the wrong way if they're still following her now. I don't think
that was the one that was.
No, this wasn't it. But it's like, I don't know. Like, to me, I don't see anything wrong with that. Yeah, they're both established and complete women. Like, yeah, totally get it. But I think the topic kind of we're talking about is, like, you know, she changed her mind, and it rubbed a lot of people in the child-free community the wrong way.
Yeah, for those who are really, like, again, this actually would be a good topic for the Building Up a Child-Free Icon panel, which is the last panel for the Child-Free Convention this year, because people are looking for public figures who are decidedly child-free.
Yeah.
And there is a crushing disappointment when someone decides to go the opposite route. Yeah. Cough, cough, Cameron Diaz much. Like, well, but
George Clooney. Anyway, so, like, going back to the first article, like with Elon, what we were just talking about, you know, like, going after the child-free community in his sense is different, but it's kind of related. And that's why it's not really being child-free isn't a movement. We're not, like, out to, you know, make people do what we're doing or change the world. Yeah. But, like,
No, we are here to change the world, but just the conversations or the world's view of the child-free
of us. We just want to be involved
lifestyle.
in the conversation, and just kind of let it be, kind of thing. But you vote with your clicks and your eyeballs and your dollars, and it's like I said, if Elon wants to go after people that don't have kids, that's a very wide swath. But if he wants to focus in on and eventually get on child-free people and get hyper focused, again, that's directly targeting a part of his consumer base.
Right.
Not that all child-free people have money at the wazoo, but they may be people that were looking at buying a Tesla. So maybe they wouldn't be looking at buying a Tesla if they considered that. So I don't know. Let's keep going here. So another dink one. This is from dailymail.co.uk. That's why I'm thinking a lot of these are probably just repurposed. But does it really pay to be a dink? ? Double income, no kids. Couples are saving $500,000 US dollars by not having children. Maybe, I guess it's US dollars. It's by not having children, but experts warn they could lose out in the long run. So when I saw that one, I'm like, well, this would be interesting to see what they're talking about.
What do the experts know? Are the experts child free? Okay.
Let's find out if they have a time machine. I don't know. They're checking out the flux capacitors here. The videos on TikTok show beautiful young couples parading around in front of blue seas, armed with designer purses and endless glasses of champagne.
And they're saving $500,000. Let's say euros, which is even more. I mean, that's like $10 million in Canadian money. So,
and this is the same Helena Kelly.
Yeah, it's the same
person.
Yeah.
I guess to keep her job, she just takes this article. And she
Daily. Look, I've been in the Daily Mail. I appreciate that, but man, they like to clickbait their titles.
Well, Helena Kelly, again, open invitation. Let's talk about dink life.
Child-free in the media. Child-free in the media panel this year's convention. Clickbait versus meaningful content.
You're welcome to join us during the convention. You're welcome. We'll do a live with you. I don't care. We'll figure this thing out. How about that?
Have we plugged the child-free convention enough yet in this episode? In the 40 minutes we've been on here? Okay.
Never enough. So let's see. Experts are warning that the decision isn't that simple, and couples who opt out of parenthood could lose out in the long run as they miss key benefits like child tax credits and crucially later life care.
Okay.
So again, assuming the kids are going to take care of you for free versus having to pay for it. That's what I read.
I read it as this has nothing to do with the human life being created. This is a selfish move. I mean, having a kid for a child tax credit and life care, this has nothing to do with the life being brought into this world. Does anybody actually think about the kids?
You're looking at them like, basically a bank account and a nurse. So
I have a problem with that. I mean, that's okay.
So personal finance expert, Dr. Roger Gewalb, Gewllb, told Daily Mail, and this is in quotes, of course, there's an immediate financial benefit to not having kids, but down the line, it's important to think about later life care and who's going to look after you when you're older. It'd be interesting to see where these dinks thinking about their decisions in 10 to 12 years. So we do have a panel about being child-free through the decades. We've got, a number of people across all age ranges, so we can ask them. But again, being child-free, there's no way you as an individual cannot think about later life. And the topic that no one wants to bring up is some people are gonna exit on their own accord. It's it's something that is their end of life care. So
no, I'm all for it. I'm all for. I have to see what the laws are in Canada if we've come to a
euthanasia. Yeah.
Well, there's a nicer way of dying with dignity, death like that, like that. Like I prefer that over euthanasia. But no, I think and also too, we don't know the next 30 to 40 years what options.
We don't know tomorrow. What are you talking about?
Pardon?
Tomorrow could all go away.
I know. After this, I've got no clue what life is going to be like after, in the next 5 minutes. No clue. I don't even know what you're going to bring it up at next. So it's just it's.
Yeah. Let's see.
I had a really good thought, but I'm just I don't know. It's gone. Keep going.
I'll just read some stats here. So let's see. Last year, the financial management site Mint into it found that the cost of raising a child to the age of 17 had ballooned to $292,000 USD, hooked on figures from the Department of Agriculture. The estimate was based on a middle-income family of 4 and is before any college costs are accounted for. The study found that 29% of the money came from needing a bigger property. Found that married couples with 2 kids had an income of $104,000 before taxes. This would mean about $84,000 over 17 years. The second highest expense was food, which accounted for 18% or $52,000 out of the family budget. Oh, there's a graph. I like graphs. I don't know what these other percentages are. It doesn't tell us. So, all right. Oh, there's the guy, Dr. Roger.
Well,
if you're watching the video.
Okay, all right. Not to be ageist or anything, but of course he comes from the generation that is going to think who's going to take care of you when you get old. Does he have?
He's thinking about it right now. I don't know.
Who's taking care of him right now? Because he looks like he's at least 75.
I'm not going to go that far.
He looks like he's well into his 70s.
He might be a 25-year-old with a hard life. we don't know. Leave Dr. Roger alone. All right.
Look, he.
Let's see. I just want to get to the point where they're. So basically, it sounds like what they're trying to say is we're not setting up for long-term care, and that's where we're going to be missing out, even though it's going to cost $300,000 in the short term to have the kid. I don't know.
I like it when other child-free people comment in response to comments like that, going, yes, I want to live a life that I have no interest in living for 60 plus years on the off chance that one of those kids will look after me when I'm old. How does that make sense? I mean,
and what a burden to put on your kids.
That, and also where's the, this is like, seriously, this is where this is the future of child-free content and the need for discussions and ideas from the child-free community or from people who support people without kids. Like what resources can we honestly collectively as a collective create to address this so that no one's going to ask that question, because there are either systems or communities or resources in place for people who are aging without kids, whether they're child-free, childless, antinatalist, whatever. I mean, this is like it's going to force us to think bigger and even if people don't want to be taken care of as a collective, just yourself, right? Like It makes you think outside the box. It truly does. I have to do that all the time, right? Yeah. So I think like this is me trying to have a silver lining spin on this whole thing. That people are making decisions based on really old systems, really old ways of thinking, and we don't have a complete answer yet, and that's fine. Yeah. But things are going to be developed. It'll just have to be, because as more people are choosing not to have kids, it's just going to naturally progress that way, where we have answers to who's going to take care of you when you get old. Yeah. AI.
Or that you'll be lonely. Whatever. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, we don't know what the future is. I mean, again, virtual reality, augmented reality, whatever it's going to be. Like, again, I feel like in the future, if you're lonely, it's because you're avoiding people everywhere, even in the virtual world. Like, you're going to have to avoid everybody to be lonely. There's going to be, thanks to hopefully the Childfree Media and the Childfree Convention and International Childfree Day, that people will know more about it and make it easier to find other folks that are child-free. But yeah, to put so much fear on the future based off of the past and the present doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. It's asinine, really. To be like, nothing's going to get better when you get older. You're just going to be sad and lonely and sit in the corner and eat your tapioca. Like,
but again, that's.
I like tapioca. So
me too. Me too. But that's just it. And again, it speaks to their mindset. But the point is so many people think like that, and it doesn't. And then no one has a discussion around it. So that's also a problem. Yeah. But anyway,
let's see. Let's keep going here. So a study by the Pew Research Center in 2021 found that 44. We've said this stat a number of times. Found that 44% of non-parents aged between 18 and 49 said that they were not at all likely or not too likely to ever have children. That's up by 7% from 2018.
And I remember how I responded the last time but look what was happening in 2020 and 2021. Of course, people
exactly.
They were in the middle of a freaking pandemic here. Yeah. So
And so that could have changed. And again, I feel like they're lumping in two different statistics. We're not at all likely and not too likely. It's
right.
Like,
and how many were 18 and how many were 49? Like,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, exactly. And this isn't every 18 to 49-year-old person in the world. Like,
because there are parts where they would probably have 3 kids at 18. So, you know,
as I always say,
not so happily, but
if you're the statistician, you can make statistics say whatever you want. Like you can whatever. Let's see. All right, let's keep going. I just want to get through all these dink ones so we don't have to talk about them in the future. This is by, we know we will. They're just going to bring up the same stuff again in the future. Yeah. So this is w.i.c 950.
I want to know what Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn's unexpected announcement is.
Oh, goodness.
Completely something separate. It's off to the side. That interests me now more than whatever this is.
Well, that's part of Go ahead. Sorry.
No.
That's part of the reason I like doing t.w.i.c is to just basically show like how bad the stuff is, where it's all just regenerated over and over. Totally. I'm surprised we're not talking about children in airplanes or weddings, because those are usually, but I guess it's not wedding season right now. But it is travel season. I guess
I thought it's always wedding season, but
it probably is. So anyway, this is New York Dink Life Under Attack, and this is by someone. This goes by Hyde. This is published May 30th, 2023. So it says, let's get this out of the way. What is a dink? The dink lifestyle is dual income, no kids lifestyle. It's a lifestyle that affords a great deal of freedom of choices and financial decisions. Many New Yorkers are choosing a life that they feel is affordable and fulfilling than that of raising kids. They're bragging about it on social media and showing off the fun they're having in their life choice. So, of course, there are many articles surfacing about the downside of said lifestyle. That's kind of it. It's like, if you're showing how great your life is, man, someone just wants to come down and just slap you down just to do it. Like, it's...
I'm just gonna interrupt. Yeah, this comment is curious. Thoughts on age gap relationships in the Childfree community? I'm not really aware of age gap. I want to say something, but that's gonna get personal, and I can't do that because I'd out somebody. I have no problem with it, but
give us more details there.
Yeah,
so
I'm curious.
There's a few different directions I could go in.
Is there an issue? Like, I'm super aware of. I mean, like, I don't have much thought on it.
All right, so
I'm good with an age gap, not like 25 years, but I mean, personally, I'm good with like 10. But
there's a quotation here. It says, "If your chief concern with having children is having future senior care, then I posit that I don't use that word. That maybe you shouldn't have children at all." So basically, they're saying, "Hey, if that's your concern, you probably shouldn't have kids at all."
Why?
What?
Oh no, I'm looking at that word because I never see that word used. I'm just looking.
Yeah, I don't like $3 words. Speak plain talk.
Assume as a fact. Okay, put it in position. All right, well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So they're basically
saying, a statement which is made on assumption that it is that will prove to be true. Just say that, people. Come on.
Yeah. That sounds like an Elon Musk word. That's too smart. So let's see. Indeed, this seems to be a selfish attitude to bring a child into the world and then burden them with the responsibility of caring for you. Let's see.
No argument there.
Let's just keep going. And now we're looking at some house.
Nice houses. I'm just.
Wait, is this another article? Modern. Yeah, this is something totally different. Is that the article?
That's the article?
All right. Well, let's look at the last paragraph here. It says, let's party instead. Keep an eye on our social media so you can see all the fun we're having in our, quote, unfulfilled lives. The tears go down easier on the beach. So this one, what was the heading of this again? Under attack. Oh, well, of course it's under attack. Like, duh.
I mean, I don't know.
All right. So how to capitalize. This is from msn.com. Did you have something to say? I didn't want to cut you off.
Oh, I always have lots to say, but I'm just like, there's, I think I feel a little bit pained when I get the Childfree content that's out there, but I'm like, there's a lot of good stuff. Like, honestly, I mean, I think because we're in Childfree convention season. We're, as of this live recording, we're 2.5 weeks away. And if people saw the kind of quality that we're putting into these conversations, the kind of speakers we have, when they hear the questions we have for the speakers, there is so much deep, relevant content in the Childfree conversation that is rarely showcased on social media. So whether it's DINK, whether it's SYNC, whether whatever, it's childless, antinatalist, whatever, I just feel like media is doing what they do is by showing the surfacey shit, and there's so much more to it. And I think that's what annoys me, like, you know, honestly, because yeah, beach life is great, but there's a lot more going on to this conversation and to the lifestyle than just that. And I mean, that's why we exist, meaning Childfree Media and Childfree Convention and International Childfree Day. We're bringing a bigger thing to, like, a bigger element to the conversation, to everything, really. But it needs to be picked up by Microsoft or whatever, MSN.com.
And again, it's classist to consider all the Childfree people well off, and that we don't have worries and concerns. Like, you know, there are Childfree people that don't have, you know, mental health concerns and issues, or, you know, whatever it may be. Like there's a lot in our community, but it seems like it's just glazed over to be like, oh, well, you're just going to be miserable and lonely later in life. It's like that's not even on our radar. Like we've already thought about that, and odds are we're doing what we can to take care of it now, to not have to worry about that.
Just to clarify the earlier question we had in the audience about age gap amongst, and it's the clarification was amongst consenting adults. I mean, I don't care if whatever.
Is that just about dating in general, or marriage, or whatever?
Just relationships, any age gap. Yeah, I have no issue. I mean, that's never been a topic that's come up in any conversations we've had in the Childfree community. I guess it goes with anybody. Like, if two consenting adults, whatever ages they happen to be, get together, then whatever.
Yeah. All right. We're running out of time, but I want to knock out this last DINK article if we can. So, how to capitalize on the financial benefits of the DINK lifestyle. This is by Renee Camus. So more and more couples these days are embracing the DINK lifestyle. Granted, it's not the best sounding acronym, but the meaning of it is cool. DINK stands for dual income, no kids. Does it? We've seen it spelled different ways, but again, that's what I like, is dual income, no kids. As the negative stigma associated with not having children decreases, we can only hope, and the definition of family changes, particularly thanks to celebrities who are unapologetically childless by choice. I want to click on that and see what that's going to lead us to. The percentage of adults who don't live with children has increased 19 points between 1967 and 2016, from 52.5% to 71.3%. Now, that's an odd statistic. That don't live with children. That could be an empty nester. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Divorced people, custody issues. I mean, there's a lot of factors there.
You can make statistics say what you want. 2021 survey said that 44% of non-parents say blah, blah, blah. We just covered that. So continue reading. Can I continue reading? Here we go. There are advantages of being child-free. They put a hyphen in there, so we'll see what that means. While there's a persistent myth that having a child will improve a marital relationship, the opposite is true. In fact, satisfaction with your spouse declines twice as quickly over time if kids are involved than for child-free couples. Being child-free can even be healthier for people, as marital stress is often linked to mental health conditions like anxiety and depression. And of course, there are financial benefits to not having kids, particularly if both would-be parents are earning money. Sometimes that might have to change with childcare. Considering the estimated cost of raising a kid to age 17 is now $310,000. It just went up like $10,000 and some odd dollars from the last article, not including higher education costs. So is that the angle they're going with? Is it DINKs don't pay that? So two heads are better than one. Imagine the benefit for financial goals when there are two incomes instead of one. Okay, I'm going to keep reading because I think I see where they're going.
I prefer that even just as a single person.
If anyone wants to just send LeNora money,
no, that's not what I mean. I could earn like 3,000 different kinds of income from different places just as a single person. Like, it's just terrible joke, but whatever.
No. There are 3 financial basics to handle first, regardless of whether you're single or in a relationship. First, be sure you have an emergency savings account with 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. Second, take advantage of any company offered matching investment programs that you have access to. And finally, be sure to pay off any high interest debt. You also want to get your budget in check so you know exactly what you spend on your money, what you spend your money on. Once those are covered, you consider how else to allocate your dough. Let's see. What'd you say?
So this is a bunch of advice, which is not bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so my thought on this article is that. Okay, what is the title again?
How to capitalize on the financial benefits.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking like. I was hoping this article wasn't going to talk people into not having kids, because that's just as bad as talking people into having kids. Like, why you should have children? Here's all your benefits and whatever.
Yeah, it looks like MSN scraped this from women.com. So
okay.
I guess that's where the actual article was.
Well, see, okay, so these kind of articles are good because it's addressing a subject, like it's addressing a demographic, and it's a necessary conversation, and it's doesn't seem to be spinning it in an awkward way or a. See, I think
this image alone is something you just don't see often. So again, your Dink lifestyle, and it's got a picture. It says young couple saving money, and it's 2 women, like they're looking at their money and a calculator, and they're making notes.
I got a piggy. Oh, I got a little piggy bank. That's cute.
So,
but the other thing too is that stuff like when it's presented like this to me is showcasing acceptance in a variety of just different forms, but also just like an acknowledgement, I should say, not even just acceptance, acknowledgement. These are the kind of articles that are smart, engaging, and help further awareness for people who don't want to have children, because it's not saying this is right, this is wrong. It's like, here's some tips on blah 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 for people that don't have children. Like, this is what we need more of, honestly.
Renee put some thought into it. They clearly didn't just go scrape Reddit or something like most of the articles that we see.
Exactly.
So let's see. It just gives a tip to open a high yield savings account, either jointly or individually or both. You can earn more interest over time. Let's see. Start investing both of your incomes. Another happy couple. Once you've created your budget, clear up any high interest debts and put money aside for emergencies. Consider how much money you might have to invest for retirement. So right there, it's like who's going to take care of you? Well, if you kind of plan on it, like invest for retirement. Let's see. It talks about ETFs and stocks and bonds and all that fun stuff. And that's all. But I mean, it's probably worth an interesting read if someone wants to check that out. Okay, we'll do one that's not dank. Just real quick.
Thank you.
Stuff.co.nz. Is that New Zealand?
Sure.
The heading is "No Kids, No Regrets: Why I Decided Motherhood Wasn't for Me." This is by Vicky Hill. Let's see. Yep. Let's see. New Zealanders. Yeah. Following national leader Christopher Luxon's comments that New Zealanders need to have more babies. Oh goodness.
They don't.
To help the declining birth rate, we asked Stuff readers who decided not to have kids how they feel about their choice. So let's see. For our 6th birthday, my twin sister asked for a pram for her dollies. I asked for a typewriter. Yeah, it's the thing you push your kids in.
I just have to ask.
She always, I mean, that's a very British term, but
it is, yeah.
She always wanted to play mums and dads, while I wanted to play doctor and nurses or post offices. I don't know any kids that want to play post offices. That's she's ahead of the curve. So I think the signs we're probably there from a young age. In my 20s, I thought I'd probably have kids because that's just what you do, isn't it? By the time I got to my early 30s, I was stuck into my career and own my own business at 32. I thought, if I'm going to have kids, I'll decide by the time I'm 35. And I didn't want to be one of those women who left it too late and was struggling with fertility in their 40s. But my self-imposed cutoff drew closer. I became more and more sure that motherhood really wasn't going to be my thing. Now, now 40, and 99% sure I'm not going to have children. Never say never, right? That was what they said.
Why not?
My now husband and I had that conversation early in our relationship, and both said, well, if you really want children, then I'll do it for you, but I'm not overly bothered myself. It was reassuring to know that we both were on the same page and nothing was going to be a deal breaker. Let's see where this is kind of going. Let's see, the hardest time was when we just got married. I was 34. When people found out we got married, so many people would say, it'll be pitter patters of tiny feet next. And this person replied, well, actually, no, we don't think that path is for us. Some people seem to realize that hadn't been an appropriate thing to say. Others were surprised. And someone even said, but you must have children. That's what life's all about. That did make me go through a bit of a stage where I wondered what was wrong with me, why I didn't want to do what everyone else did, and what society seems to expect. And I think a lot of child-free people, they do go through that. Again, there's a long thought process that goes into, like, once you say that you're child-free, again, to me, it's a mindset. Like, that's your decision. Like, that it's you have to get to that. That's why we have a term of fence sitters. That's why, you know, people that are childless, that eventually, if they say, look, we're not going to try anymore, we're just going to accept that our life is what it is, and we're not going to worry about having kids at all. To me, hey, they can say child-free. Like, they're child-free at that point. Like, that's welcome to the club. Like, that's,
I feel like it's so fascinating how people like push and push and push to get someone to answer that question, like, especially if they're a fence sitter. Well, I mean, it really only apply to fence sitters, but possibly. And if they were decided, you know what, we're not going to have kids, they'll still push and push and push. But if they said, you know what, we're going to have kids, I can see why people lie about this and just say, sure, one day.
Yeah.
Because it's just, it's like people want to know, but they only want to know that one answer. They only want to know it when it's the answer that they want, which is to say, yeah.
It's because they want to know what box to put you in. It's like, oh, like if it's another parent asking, they want to be like, okay, so I can make many assumptions about your values and belief system if you say you want to be a parent, but if you say you don't want to be a parent, then I'm going to assume all these other things. And that's, I mean, really, that's what people just want to put people in categories. Maybe that's the easiest,
because it makes them comfortable. It makes
them comfortable. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of it. And to me, they tell you their greatest fears by posing all those different questions to you. It's like, well, is that what you're worried about? Like,
you know what? And then we should probably wrap because I'm starting to get super sweaty. I don't know. Okay. But I'm like, I shouldn't be complaining because we have an 18-hour live stream coming up in 2.5 weeks.
It's coming.
We're not going to ask this question on the parent panel this year, but I would really, really like to have this discussion with someone who has kids. If having kids has made them stop worrying about who's going to take care of them when they get old. I would love to ask a multitude of parents that question.
I mean, you just did. If there's a parent out there, or if someone
seriously
wants to forward that question and just tell them to come here and put the comment on.
I am going to post that on my Instagram tomorrow. That's going to be my content. I want to know. I really want to know.
Yeah. So anyway.
Okay.
With that being said, LeNora, how can people find us?
That's a really good question, Cody. How can people find us? Okay, let me get into that mindset. All right, so you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Childfree Media. You can go to our website, childfreemedia.com. Actually, that's the most important place because then you can sign up for the weekly newsletter that features any updates we've got on events in our network or beyond because we promote other people's work. The latest in Childfree podcasts, of course, if you're depending on when you're listening to this, Childfree convention updates as well as International Childfree Day stuff. It's all on the newsletter. It comes out every week. And you can look at all the archives as well, too. You can you may be listening to the replays on this on the Childfree Media podcast. So there's that. We're on social media, not social media. Yes, we are, but we're on YouTube. And if you need to, this is so erratic. I'm sorry.
Well, we have an amazing newsletter that goes out.
I just said that.
But if you're a content creator that isn't already on that newsletter, then reach out to us, childfreemedia@gmail.com, and let us know when you drop a blog, a podcast, whatever, and let us promote it for you for free. The newsletter is free. We promote it for free. Like we believe in sharing information and continuing dialogue.
That being said, if you would like to sponsor Childfree Media and other divisions that we participate in, you can go to childfreemedia.com/sponsor as well. Okay, I think that covers everything.
All right. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, awesome
Rebecca.
audience in the background. Like we appreciate all the comments and look forward to having t.w.i.c again in the near future. Till then, bye.
Bye.